Okay, let's go over the lab one in week 2. After you click on the lab one assignment, it's gonna ask you to download these. Okay, it's asking you to download these Excel files. You have already downloaded this in the lab prep, and you should have that in the form of XLS file saved. And then it is asking you, the lab one is asking you to complete and answer to the questions in this document and submit it through this assignment. If you click on the start assignment, you will be able to submit a file which includes your answers to the questions inside this. Okay, so I have already downloaded these files. Let's start with the one that we have saved during the lab prep. Okay, so I'm going to open the XLSX, the CEO salary file. Okay, this is the file that we just prepared and saved it in our computer. Now I want to work with this data. So the first concept, the first topic that we're gonna be working with is to create a pivot table. To have a pivot table, which is used to analyze the data and to reveal the patterns and trends, we need to select Insert, select Pivot Table. It is gonna have a pop-up window asking you whether you want to have this pivot table. It is gonna create a new table, okay, based on the information that you already have here. So it is asking you whether you want that new table to be in a new sheet or in an existing worksheet. So I would prefer to have a new worksheet so it is separate from this one and it is clear that how I have worked over here. All right, so I will select the new worksheet and it is asking me to select the table. So you need to just select the table one, and when you hit the OK, it will go to a new sheet. You see, this is the older sheet of the data that we had. Now we are selecting the new sheet over here. And when I want to see some analysis for that data set, I can select all the variables that I have here or any of the variables that I want to analyze. Okay. After I select them, they are added over here as the values. You can move them around if you want, for example, let's say, if I want to have the industries and the row and having all other variables in these columns, I will move the industry over here. The next thing that is very helpful to know about the pivot tables is that when I click on these values and select the field setting, I can change the value. For example, if I want to know the count of the IDs, how many IDs in each industry exist, I can select the count over here. Or if I want to know the average of the return on the sales, I can select the average over here. If I want to know, let's say, return on equity, if I want to know the um, variance, for example, I can select the var and it will give me the variance for the return on equity. So you see, I can select if you want to have, for example, both sum of the sale also, let's say I want to have average sale as well. Okay, so I just need to add it again by dragging and dropping here, and will give me the sum of the sale and average of the sale. And you can move stuff around. All right, so you can move these stuff around over here, moving one to the end or to the beginning, so you can have these columns ordered as you prefer. Again, if you want to see just one of these, you can uncheck all and see only one or both of them. And these values over here will be related to whatever that you have selected in this area, in this part, in this section of the pivot table fields. Okay? So in summary, we will select Insert Pivot Table or Recommended Pivot Table. We will choose where you want your pivot table to go, which I selected a new sheet over here instead of the same sheet. Then a new area will open in this right side of the table. Okay. And then we can add fields that I want in the sections. For example, if I want something to be in the rows or columns, if I want to be to have a specific values like sum of the variables, count of the variables, average or variance or standard deviation of the variables, I can select those from the field settings, and I will have those options available and those values shown over here. This will show me an analysis, an initial analysis of the data set that I have here. Okay, using this table, we created a pivot table which provided an analysis for the data to reveal the patterns and trends. For example, I can compare the number of the deals in each of these industries. I can see the average return on sale for each of those industries, and etc. Okay. So the question is also asking you, all right, let me see. Okay, so we did the part one. Next, we want to do the same with other data sets as well, with this airfare.csv, with CPS and survey, and with unemployment. So let's open airfare. Okay, so I have this airfare data set over here. Let me just save this one and close it. Next, I will have the airfare.csv. The first step was to save it as an Excel file. So I will save as XLSX, save it, then close the CSV file, open XLS file, then click somewhere in the page and format it as a table. Let's say I will select this one. It will automatically just, you see, select this area. If not, you can manually just select whichever part that is your table. So then I will select, I will click OK, and I have the data set formatted as a table. Next, if I want to sort the data set, for example, based on the years, I can just select the year, go to home, select editing, and sort it from smallest to the largest. So the smallest, the earliest, the oldest year goes back to 1997, and the latest is 2000. Okay. So you can just order, like sort the stuff over here based on whichever variable that you would prefer, either variable of year, variable of route, variable of route, or the distance in miles, average passengers per day, average one-way fare, and market share of largest carriers. So you just select either of these that you want to order, you want to sort, and when you select it, you can sort it from the smallest to largest or largest to the smallest. Okay. Um, then if you want to see, for example, specific years, let's say I just want to see 1999, I can check 1999 over here, and it will just show me only the values for the year 1991. If I want to add 2000 as well to that data set, I can see that 1999 is here. And if I go down, you will see that I have the data for 2000 as well. And if you are not working, if you have not formatted your data in the form of table, you will have to just go here in the editing, selecting the sort and filter and checking the filter, then it will bring you these arrows that you can use to just categorize and hide or show specific categories in your data set. Okay, then let's save this. And the next step was to create a pivot table. So I'm going to click on Insert, Pivot Table. It automatically brings table 1 over here. If it doesn't have the table 1, just like the first data set, we're gonna just select the whole area that is related to our data set. Depending on what you prefer, you can have your pivot table in the new worksheet or just select the existing worksheet and just select one of these cells over here. It will create the pivot table over there. But for being clear and uh, um, just having everything in an order, I prefer to have the new worksheet. So let's select the new worksheet, and let's say I want to have route ID, distance, average passengers, average fare, and market share of largest fare. And let's say I want to have the IDs here, okay? And I want to also have, sorry, I forgot year. I also want to have the year, and I can select the year and just count the years. So you see in each year, I have for each route, I have 4 years of observation. But I can switch these. I can bring year to the rows and take the route here. And if I select route, check the field settings and change it to count, it will give me a table like this. I will have rows related to the years, okay? And I will have number of the IDs, route IDs in each year. So this clearly is a panel data set, right? This is the next part of the question is asking you what is the structure of the data? What is the grouping of the data? So this is how we use the pivot table to understand what the data is like. In the previous data set, if I go back to the let me reopen the CEO data set. If I do the same over here, let's say I have IDs, okay, but there's no year variable over here. You see, I do not have any years, so we do not, this definitely is a cross-sectional variable. So CEO salary data set is a cross-sectional variable because it doesn't have a time dimension. But the airfare is a panel data set, and we have a clear both time dimension and individual dimension. Okay. We're gonna do the same with the other one. Let me just do this with the CPS file. This time I'm working with the CPS file, CPS survey. So ID is missing from here. All right. So let's click somewhere in the table. We're gonna first save it as XLS or XLSX. Okay, save it as Excel, and then close this one, open Excel file, then select the format as table. You can select either of these that you want. Let's select purple one this time. And when you check it, when you click on OK, it will create the table over here. Next step is to order. Let's say I want to order based on let's say years of experience. Okay. If I want to order based on years of experience, select years of experience, select editing, select sort and filter, and I want to see it in the order of smallest to largest. So we have some people with 0 years of experience, and it keeps growing with different characteristics, different people with different amount of years of experience. If I want to see only people who have let's say over 50 years of experience, I will just deselect all and select only these guys over here. So you see there are only a limited number of people with experience over 50 years. Okay. Next, let's create a pivot table. You can click on the pivot table. It automatically selects table one. You just need to select again where your pivot table should be, either new worksheet or existing worksheet. When you check it, click on OK. It will open this new window on the right with different sections, and you can just add these to the filter to the fields. Okay, and you can, let me see, we have survey year. We do not need years of education. Let's for now have these two, survey year and ID. And I want to see whether this is a panel or a sectional or time series or pooled cross section. So you see this is kind of very large numbers. There are lots of numbers over here, and each ID is observed only once a year. You can also switch this if you bring year here and IDs here, so you will have the same thing in reverse. So you have, let's click on this count. And you see in each year we have 550 people here, 534 people in the next year. Okay, so this clearly in the previous shape, when I had IDs in the rows and years and the values, that definitely showed that this is a pooled cross section, because each ID is observed only once. You see, it is observed only once through the years. All right. I'm gonna leave the unemployment as a practice for you guys, okay? But in summary, if you want to see whether these are, if you want to diagnose the unit of analysis, or if you want to see if the data is in the panel form or um, cross-sectional format, grouping, or time series, or pooled cross-sectional grouping, we can use the pivot table. If pivot table shows one row per ID, one row, so remember, one row, just like this one per ID only. So the unit is that ID. For example, one student or one household in this CPS survey. Okay. If pivot shows many rows per ID, the unit of analysis is the lower level. For example, test score, transcription, okay? And if the pivot shows rows per ID year, then the unit of analysis is a panel data structure, and it is a ID year unit of analysis, okay? So this CEO data set, this one, the CEO data set based on the pivot table, we can see that we have ID, salary, sales, return on equity, return on sales, industry. These are the variables that we have. Data grouping is definitely cross-sectional because there is only one row per CEO, no time dimension over here. Unit of analysis in here is a CEO, a firm level snapshot. Okay. Are these tidy? Yes. If I look at this data set over here, it is tidy. Each row is one CEO and each column is one variable. What about this data set? Airfare table. We have different variables over here: year, route ID, distance in miles, average passengers per day, average one-way fare, market share. These are the variables that we have. Data grouping in this example, we checked it with this pivot table, that the data grouping is panel, it is longitudinal. We call the panel data sets sometimes as longitudinal, and each route is observed over multiple years. You see, each route is, if I just take this here, let me just remove these, and okay. And you see each route is observed through multiple years. So it is a panel data set. Unit of analysis is route year, okay? And are these tidy? Yes. Each row is one route in 1 year. So the unit of analysis is route year, and each row equals to one route in 1 year. So it is a tidy data set. Okay. Let's go back to the CPS file. In the CPS file, we have different data, different variables again. We have years of education. We have education, female, married, experience, union, wage, age, survey year, and different information over here, right? Data grouping is pooled cross section. If you look at this data set, we discussed that this is a pooled cross section. Different individuals surveyed in this in different years. IDs do not repeat over the years. So it is a pooled cross-section, and the unit of analysis is individual worker in a survey year. So we have collected these information from each individual. These are the numbers that we have given to these people. All right, if you remember, we had this. That's why we do not have everyone. But now when I clear that, when I just have everyone selected with different years of experience, we will have all the people over here. And you see that our unit of analysis is individual worker in a survey year. Is this tidy? Yes, it is mostly tidy probably. Each row, because I cannot necessarily check it. But yeah, it is tidy. So each row is equal to one person's survey record. Okay, you can check these numbers over here. And you see that each row is equal to one person's survey record. And there is a probably, if I add the wage column over here, there will be a duplicate wage column over there, but otherwise it is tidy. Okay, if I only look at the IDs and survey year, it is unique, and it is just each row is related to one person's survey record. So it is a tidy data set. If we do the same with unemployment, let me just quickly open it. So we're gonna save the unemployment as XLS file, close the CSV file, open the Excel file over here. When I have this Excel file, you can just first format it as a table, okay? I have this as a table. If I want to see a specific amount of vacancy rate, I can just filter it. If I want to sort based on the unemployment rate, I can just go to the home editing. Let's first select the unemployment, and I can sort it from largest to the smallest, and the largest unemployment rate is related to this date. And looking at these dates, you see that we have month, unemployment rate, and vacancy rate. So definitely this is a time series. Data is for the aggregate economy month by month, and the unit of analysis will be a month. Okay, so the unit of analysis is to see what is happening for 1 month, and that month is the unit of analysis for us. Is this data set tidy? Yes, each row is related to 1 month's observation. Okay, so this is a tidy data set. Okay, this is the solution for lab 1. Using this solution, you can check your answers that you have submitted for this assignment. You just need to select the start assignment and submit it. See you in class.